Hi everybody. I am going to be commenting on one of the articles that we're looking at of the 7 articles that I'm using for this class. This is a pretty quick video, but I want to highlight some things really that are organizational specific, and I chose a newer article to do this. So this is one of the longer articles, but it's also the newest one related to organizational theory. I wanted you to see the historical component of organizational theory more than anything else in this class. That's kind of my goal more than anything else. But I wanted you to look at some of the newer articles, because this one really pertains to what we're looking at in the state of Oklahoma, the state of Pennsylvania, the state of Florida, pretty much every state in the United States right now. But when we're really looking at the ways that teacher evaluation has been tied into personnel evaluation, it creates high-stakes testing becomes high-stakes personnel evaluation. If you're interested in teacher evaluation at all, this is an article you should look at, because it will benefit. It'll benefit your research, but most importantly, if you plan on being a future superintendent one day, this is something that is going to help you significantly. So the purpose of this study was really to see what variations exist across districts in teacher evaluation. How are teachers and teacher unions involved in the process as well? And how do administrators think that their teacher evaluation systems look? I think the way that this study did it was good, because there was correlational analysis between how labor relations looked and how that impacted teachers and their opinions on teacher evaluation, and I think that's a big idea. So, big takeaway messages that I think matter is that teacher evaluation differs between schools, between districts, between everything. How you evaluate a teacher in one organization is different than how a teacher would look in a different organization. I stress this, I bold it, you need to know this. It is impossible to identify and define teacher effectiveness because of the different contexts within organizations. How a teacher is in one school, if it's high performing, might look different than if it's a low performing school. So teacher evaluation is going to be very, very, very challenging to look at, because different organizations in different districts are going to attack it in a different way. One of the things that you want to think about in the state of Oklahoma in Tulsa public school reform is kind of this notion and this idea of the 68% teacher. If you're not familiar with this, let me refresh you the concept of this. 68% of all teachers in Tulsa are average teachers. 16% are above average, and 16% are below average. But we're doing this on a bell-shaped curve, basically saying that, over 2/3 of our teachers are going to be average teachers, and only 16 are going to be above average, and 16% are going to be below average. So can you do that within a building? Probably better than you can across a district. So one of the concepts that was discussed in here is this notion of neo-institutionalism, and this is a fairly new theory in educational research and in organizational theory, because we're basically saying that instructional core of schools, it's disconnected from administration. The administration doesn't necessarily support the instructional core and vice versa, and this causes illegitimacy within the school. Schools have external demands that are federal, that are state, that are even local, and local schools are looking at these completely different, in the fact that these organizations aren't on the same page with what the mandates are can create a problem within the organizational context. So a few quick results from this study. One of the things that I want you to notice is the fact that when we talk about teacher evaluation, the 2 names that should pop in your mind are obviously Charlotte Danielson and Robert Marzano. Half of the districts use Danielson, the other half use the Marzano model. One of the big findings from this study was that in unionized districts, teachers' unions were highly involved in the implementation process of the evaluation system. That can be good, that can be bad. That means that the teachers' unions are looking at how data is going to be used, and they're looking at how the observations are going to be conducted. You have to have a uniform form, but as we've stated, no organization is uniform, so how do you have a uniform form to how the observation and how the data is used? No labor relations climate improvement was shown through teacher evaluation. Once again, that's a no-brainer that teachers' unions aren't going to be happy about performance evaluations. If there's a positive labor relations climate, then there's more likelihood of teacher education and teacher evaluation reform to be positive as well. So the last thing to say really about this article is that there's a lot of room for evaluation on teacher, there's a lot of room for research on teacher evaluation. Is people that are in a state that's really looking at this as a divisive issue, I think there's opportunities here for you to really take teacher evaluation and see how it progresses longitudinally over the next 3 or 4 years, especially using the Danielson framework, the Marzano framework, the teacher leader effectiveness model. There's a lot of opportunities for improvement, which I think is good. So if this is an area of interest of you, this shows you kind of the dimensions of it and how it can relate to organizations. So hopefully this is something that I can, that I can further work with you on, and if you have any questions, as always, feel free to let me know. Thank you.